Okay, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education so that you can unleash your potential, live the life you're meant to live. We have an amazing, we got an amazing show for you today. I'm super excited to finally run this guy down. It's a good friend of mine, marketing expert, Jay Berkowitz. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, George. And not only am I a big fan of yours, but I'm a fan of the show. So
awesome. Well, thanks, man. Thanks. Well, as you know, I definitely am not the one that needs, an ego boost, but I tell you what, I am humbled. I am grateful. What I want to do real quick though, is for those that do not know you, I've mentioned you in a couple of podcasts, but that do not know you, I want to kind of give you a real good intro so that they understand your background and the value of what they're going to get, because we're going to talk today about the 10 golden rules of digital marketing. And this is something that everyone that I come across needs, wants, desires, especially if you're an entrepreneur, whether it's a side hustle, a business, or a company. So Jay, you're just going to have to indulge me, man. Let me give you a proper introduction here real quick. So for everybody listening, Jay Berkowitz is an author, an educator, international keynote speaker, award-winning thought leader. He's got 25 years of online marketing experience, and this is with companies like, he's done run marketing for Fortune 500 brands, Coca-Cola, Sprint, McDonald's. He's created and developed online and offline strategies for AT&T and, many, many other companies. But I especially like his book, and he's an author of The 10 Golden Rules of Online Marketing and 10 Free Digital Marketing Strategies that went number one on Amazon for small business and entrepreneurship. He currently is founder, CEO of 10 Golden Rules, a digital marketing consulting business in Boca Raton. And he's the host of the 10 Golden Rules digital marketing podcast. So he's been profiled on Wall Street Journal, business journals, and interviewed on Fox Business. But I'll tell you, I'm super, super glad to have you here because we generally don't get the opportunity to just talk about strategies and tips and things. So thank you again for being here. Obviously, you've got a huge background, and I think it's really going to help our listeners a lot. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So do me a favor, Jay, and give us just a little bit of background on how you got into digital marketing. Like what is it that got you into this field in the first place? Because I know you have a massive background, and like many experts, you've spanned decades in this industry, but what got you into it in the first place?
Well, it's funny. I was talking to a couple of young kids who are starting a business yesterday, and I was telling them a story about when I used to work at Coca-Cola and how I was involved with a New Coke project. And they're like, what's New Coke? So
oh, yeah.
That's how I know I've been doing this for a long time. And technically, I didn't work on New Coke. I worked on New Diet Coke. But we screwed up Diet Coke just the same way they screwed up Coke about 5 years earlier.
Oh, my gosh.
But it wasn't my choice. But it's interesting because right around that time, we were, it was the first very, very, very early days of websites for companies. And Pepsi had this really cool website with a few interactive games that the kids could interact with. And Coca-Cola Corporate would only let us run the Coca-Cola jingle on the website because everyone was worried about this new technology and was it legal, and it was just so early in the game. But I realized very, very quickly that the internet would change marketing. If I was a little bit smarter, I would have realized the internet's going to change the whole world. Wow. But I definitely knew that, my life was going to change, and I needed to understand the internet. So I started getting really deep in anything that was available, and nothing was really available. We got 30 people together and formed the Internet Advertising and Sales Group. And we had meetings, and we tried to find experts to speak at these meetings. And very quickly I realized, there weren't any experts.
There weren't any.
Yeah, we were all learning as we went along. So maybe 5 or 6 years later, I worked at a .com called ediets.com. And I had this tremendous opportunity that we were one of the 5 largest online advertisers by spend in the world. And at any given time, we were one of the largest advertisers on MSN, AOL, or Yahoo. Pick 2 of the 3, because that's how we would negotiate.
Wow.
And so every single day, we put about 100,000 people onto our test landing pages. And every single day, we were running an A/B test. Half the people would see this offer, half the people would see this color page, or whatever we were testing at that time. And so I was one of the very few people in the world who got to see a live testing lab with like 100,000 tests every day where 50,000 would see A and 50,000 would see B. And we very quickly built a lot of internal intelligence in each of the players on the team. And we've all gone on to pretty successful careers. We all built a lot of early intelligence on what works on the internet. What type of banner ads get clicks? What type of offers get conversions? What type of headlines work on your e-newsletter to get people back to the website to buy if they didn't buy the first time they came to the website? What kind of communication on that first landing page gets people to fill out a form so you get their email in the first place? Like this was all, 2002, 2003, the very, very early days of internet marketing. I always joke, back in those days, Google was still in beta. So really everything we did was banner advertising. And Mark Zuckerberg was still in high school.
That is funny. That's funny, but it's interesting because most people don't have that perspective. On a side note, don't you think that perspective has helped you? In other words, like me back, a decade ago where we were doing events where we were dropping 1 million pieces of direct mail, a week. And so direct mail and traditional marketing, but I think that gave me a lot of perspective to use in the trends of internet and stuff now. And you've kind of come along and seen the trends, but does that help give you perspective that maybe nowadays a lot of people don't have that ability to do that?
Well, that's a fantastic point, because the 10 golden rules, and if you want, we'll get into that a little bit and talk about a couple of the rules. But, golden rule number 1, I called there are no rules. Partly because it's a fun, way to kick off my presentation. And I started giving the rules as a presentation at all the big conferences, because nobody in 2003 was talking about internet marketing at all the conferences.
Yeah, and let me interrupt you for just 1 second, because I do. Let's jump right into them. But what made you come up with these rules before we kind of jump into them? And then you can go back and kind of answer my question as well. What is it that made you come up with them? Is this because you did them for yourself, or you did them in order to create something in order to kind of get out into the marketplace, or what made you put the 10 golden rules together?
Actually, that's a great question, because I think for some of the people in your audience, the answer will be very relevant. Because I was at a stage in my life that we just talked about. I worked at Coca-Cola. I was a chief marketing officer, or a director of marketing. I worked at Sprint, and I worked at eDiets, and I was the director of marketing, or the chief marketing officer. And running these marketing departments, but I was kind of hitting a glass ceiling that the marketing person, sometimes it's hard to get that next big job.
Yeah.
And, I found a couple times in my career where the CFO or the accounting guy was getting the CEO job, and being, the one that was making the presentation to the investors and stuff like that. So I felt like I needed to make a move in my career. And at that time, I was very fortunate. I saw a guy present, a guy named Jeff Sabar. I always give Jeff credit. He's a journalist, and he has an interesting website called Chief Home Officer. He teaches you how to work from home. He did the first presentation I'd ever seen where he talked about the personal brand. And I think it had just been on the cover of like Fast Company magazine or something. And we're going back to 2002, 2003. And he said something that's always stuck in my head. He said, think of yourself like the brand manager for the brand of you, and think of your resume as like your product packaging. What have you done to add additional benefits to your sales package? What have you done to package yourself up? So I was in this, self-development exercise and personal development where I was saying, like, I'd had these tremendous jobs, these incredible experiences, but I was kind of getting a little frustrated with, that marketing glass ceiling. I was looking for something new. And so I did the personal brand exercise, and I said, what is it that was unique about me at that time? And what was unique was I had, now 6, 7, 8 years of digital marketing experience. In 2002, 2003, when like we were just discussing, like Google was still in beta. And I also had tremendous traditional packaged goods marketing experience, and as we'll talk about in a minute, direct mail marketing experience, and some really phenomenal training on that type of marketing. So I developed the 10 golden rules when I was asked to speak at a presentation at the Direct Marketing Association. And they really wanted me to give a presentation, a case study on eDiets, because we were one of the top 5 largest advertisers online in the world. And I convinced them that the 10 golden rules, I would include some of our best learning from eDiets, but I would also write these 10, sort of seminal strategies for internet marketing. And I'm proud to say that rules have really stood the test of time. Like when young people come to work at our company, I still train them on the 10 golden rules, because if they understand those core strategies, they really work today. And as I'm at conferences all around the world, like I'll hear people quoting the 10 golden rules or talking about putting a UVP on their website. And, I wrote that. I created that.
Wow.
But, that being said, the rules were developed because, I wanted a presentation that would sort of put a stake in the ground for digital marketing. And B, was a part of developing the personal brand of Jay. Because I didn't know what was next, but I wanted to market and package the combination of, strategic marketer plus cutting edge digital marketer. And as I suggested, there was very few with the experience that I had in the world at that time.
Wow, I love how that aligns as well. And you're right, for individuals listening to this podcast that might be kind of hitting a ceiling or frustrated with where they're at or not pursuing the direction they'd like, it really does help to have that perspective of your personal brand. You mentioned what's unique about you, or maybe even something you specialize in. But I love that you took what was probably an outline of experience, but a case study or even a presentation that you're going to do, and ultimately turned into not just a book, but the guidelines that have stood the test of time that you built, your model, your training, your new people around. And so that gives some really good background to these 10 golden rules, because I think that people can use that as a case study of their own as to how you can personally brand and create content that's not just out there so many people create ebooks and content, but this totally aligns with what you want to do, what your experience is, what your USP is. And if you're putting something out there that describes what you're unique at, helps you build your brand, and also is a curriculum, that's pretty powerful stuff. I mean, it's more than just, here's some 10 really cool strategies. So that's cool, man. I love that. So let's get into the 10 golden rules, man. Let's knock it out and give some value to the listeners on that. Go ahead and take it away.
Sure. And but one thought I just don't want to miss is that what everybody should recognize is that, you don't have to be the world's leading expert. You don't have to be, in the unique position that I was, that I had, 100,000 clicks to our website a month at a day at a very unique time. Everybody who's listening to this knows more than 95% of the rest of the world about something.
Yes.
And all you got to do is create content. Like, you guys have probably never heard of George Wright until you discovered this podcast, and now you love it. And
right.
You think George is a guru, and he is, by the way. And the people he brings on, you're learning from, and then you go out and check their stuff. But why do you do that? It's all about content. So we'll talk a little bit more about personal branding if we have time at the end of this.
Okay.
But really, the key message there is creating the 10 golden rules just kind of became my signature. But over the last 16 years, I've probably done 100 different presentations because it's content and because that's what I'm good at doing, presentations. But it doesn't mean that you have to do presentations. You can write an ebook, you can do a podcast, you can create videos, and we'll talk more about that.
Cool.
So golden rule number one I touched on briefly is there are no rules. And George was very, very fortunate to have tons of direct marketing experience, because the internet is a lot more like direct marketing than it is like TV and radio and billboards. And what there are no rules means is in internet marketing, like in direct marketing, the only rule is that you test and you find out what works, and then you do more of what works. In TV, we used to have some rules, and we didn't really know what worked. So we kind of had to make it up as we went along. So we just followed the rules. The rules were maybe you did a focus group and asked people if they liked the idea for the TV commercial, or if they like this idea or this idea. And we never really knew, because people can't read TV commercials off a board, idea board that we showed them. And then we went and shot the commercial, and then we followed the rules. We tried to show the commercial to like 65% of the target audience, an average of 3.5 times, which equaled 375 gross rating points. And then it worked, And like I mentioned, I worked at McDonald's and Coca-Cola, and advertising works. I learned that very, very well. Like, if we had a new Happy Meal for McDonald's, and we started the advertising always at 6 o'clock on Thursday nights, so we'd have a big weekend. And by like Friday at lunch, we'd be up 10 or 15% versus the same Friday a year ago. And, we didn't know, like, was it the TV, was it the radio, was it the billboards? But advertising works. Like, if you had a Disney Happy Meal, those stores were busy all weekend for the next month, right? Until we sold out of the Happy Meal toys. So we followed those rules, but we didn't know, like I said, was it the TV, was it the radio, was it the billboard? What I loved about direct marketing, and you mentioned, 10 years ago doing 1 million direct mail pieces, is you could test the outer envelope. You could do a blue outer envelope and a red outer envelope, and you could see which one got more people to show up at the event with the coupon or to register, to call in and register, because you could put a different phone number on the blue envelope and the red envelope, and you'd see which one got more registrations for the event. What drove me crazy and drove you crazy, I'm sure, about direct mail was it took like 6 weeks to get the answer.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got like 8-week lead time, and then by the time you change it, things have changed. So good point.
But the internet was like I said, 100,000 people a day coming to our website. By the end of a week, we had a pretty good determination, because we get about 1,000 people every day to take our little quiz. And we'd know by the end of the day if the red page worked better than the blue page. And we'd get, by the end of a week, we'd have what we considered to be like statistically significant data. And we could make a decision which one to use going forward. Yeah,
that's such a huge, sort of game changer. It levels the playing field for people too, right? So now just some mom at home that's, making jewelry, or some guy that wants to write a book or this or that, now they have the ability to do things real time. And at the same token, it was like going to Vegas with direct mail. I mean, we would drop, $200,000 on direct mail, and we'd just be like, please let somebody call us like 2 weeks later, right? Now it's like you can change the info real time, you can mix it up. And I think that's huge, but it's also the point I was going to make, and you may have learned that. Oh, I know you've learned this, but you probably mentioned this, is it's never, you don't know what to expect. Everything changes so fluidly that when you say there's no rules, it's like, look, that's why some dude in his basement can make something up and have 2 million views on a video and start getting sponsors, because you just don't know. You have to be more creative, but when you follow guidelines like you're talking about, then you can really be strategic. So that's huge, man. I totally agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah. So there are no rules really means that in TV, we just followed certain rules, best practices, because we really didn't know, like we did, again, like I said, for McDonald's, we didn't know if people saw the billboard or the radio commercial or the TV. But in the internet, the rule is you test, and you're very precise with your testing and your measurement. And you know exactly which Google keyword term the person searched.
Got it.
How many impressions, how many times your ad was shown, how many times people clicked, and how many people ordered the product or signed up for the event on your website. And then you test about 369 different keywords in Google, and 10 different Facebook campaigns. And by the end of like a week, you know which one's working. And so you do more of the one that works, and you get rid of the ones that don't work very, very quickly.
Got it. So obviously testing is the rule. I mean, it's like you just got to test.
Testing and precise measurement.
Love it. Okay, great.
Some people miss the last part.
Yeah, and measuring the test, right? Yeah, people just shotgun it out there, and they get lucky, and they don't even know why they got lucky. So good point, because that's something that can happen on the internet as well. I mean, you can not know why it happened, and you think you do, and you're still not any better off. So that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of joking, but a lot of times we'll take over a campaign from another agency, and they've got like triple counting of conversions, and they think, like, the client thinks they had 3 times as many. But what we do is we get very, very precise. We know how many people called, because we use call tracking with like software like CallRail. We use chat, so people can actually chat and interact, and we know how many people chatted, and we measure that very precisely. And then we use form fills on the website, or obviously if it's e-commerce and people are registering for an event, we know exactly where they came from, how many people called in to register, how many people did it on the website.
Got it. Love it. Okay, so rule number 2.
The internet is not television. So this is kind of like, from a strategic standpoint, the television has this incredible ability, and it still does, by the way. It's still better than the internet. And when I wrote these rules 16 years ago, there is one significant change. 16 years ago, you couldn't play a TV commercial or video on the internet. Now we can see HD video on our phone. So that's one thing that's really changed in 16 years. But the rule itself hasn't really changed, because what we were talking about was the strategy. And the strategy is that on TV, you can play a TV commercial, and you can tell a story. You can use emotion. You can use video. You can use audio. You can use music, right? From a strategic standpoint, you couldn't really do that on the internet. one thing that has changed is people can drop on a website or a YouTube page, you can play video, and you can take advantage of television. But back in the day, you couldn't really do that. So from a strategic standpoint, fall back to golden rule number one. The internet's more like direct mail and less like television.
Got it. Well, and I love the fact that now, like you said, more and more people can do that. And when they embrace the idea of television on the internet, where they engage audio, video, emotion, things like that, do you find they generally have more success?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of current, best practices about storytelling. And
so now you're going to get best of both worlds. You're going to get that, but you'll be able to track and test and have two different videos up that are going to show you what might work, might not. So you can put out tons of content and decide what it is pretty real time, like we've done with campaigns in the recent past, right?
Absolutely. And video is the killer app.
Love it. Yeah.
I was having this conversation with our team this week. Like, there's so many ways that video is so powerful. Facebook ads, using video will work 3, 4, 5 times better than static ads.
Yeah.
Having video on your landing page will convert better than not having video, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Videos.
Well, and we'll be able to get into some of these things in a minute as well, but that's why I think why stories and why, Instagram, Facebook stories and things like that are so key and critical. And now with the analytics to do that. So awesome. So rule number 2, the internet is not television. Okay. How about rule number 3?
Rule number 3 is create a UVP. And a UVP is a unique value proposition. It's a little different from a USP, which is a unique selling proposition. A unique selling proposition is what's unique about your product or service that you're going to stand up and explain to people on your website or in your brochure. A unique value proposition is something on your website that's unique to you that you're going to use to get people to interact with your website. So you could have like a free rate calculator, a free loan calculator, or we've used in the event business, hey, Tony Robbins is coming to town. Just click here and give us your email, and we're going to send you 7 free videos with Tony Robbins. And so that's a UVP. It's something that's so compelling that people are going to take action and they're going to interact with your website. The reason why this is so important is if you look at the statistics on most websites, only 1 to 2% of people convert, meaning they either sign up for your product or service, or they download or actually pay for your product or service or give you their email. That means you have a 98 or 99% fail rate. But if you have a UVP like 7 free Tony Robbins videos, you might get 7 or 10% of people to give you their email for the Tony Robbins videos. Now those 7 to 10% of people are interested in your product or service, and then you can remarket to those people using email or remarket it.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I love how you do that. And just to clarify for our listeners, Jay's not telling you to go use 7 Tony Robbins videos. He actually works with Tony Robbins marketing events. So, but I love how you differentiated, and that's actually, I understood it, but it's the first time I've really heard it out loud, the differentiation between a unique selling proposition and a unique value proposition. And right now in today's marketplace, especially if you're an entrepreneur, it is all about value, and that value should be around you and your unique value, but it should be a compelling delivery of value, because information's free. It didn't used to be, but pretty much you can get anything now. So it's your value, your unique value proposition that you're going to give individuals, and that's going to increase conversion. So that's a really big one. I really like that, and I like how you differentiated that. So thank you. What about number 4? So golden rule number 4?
Golden rule number 4, if you build it, they won't just come.
We'd like to think they would, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mistake so many people still make to this day. But, it was a classic back in 2000 with the internet boom, the first internet boom, that also came with an internet bust. And some people don't remember that story. But so many companies raised all this money. And back in the day, it used to cost $100,000 or $200,000 to build a website. And, different like pet food websites and stuff like that back in the day, which failed. People would build these websites, and then they didn't have the wherewithal to get people to the website. And so if you build it, they won't just come, means that, with maybe a slight exception, which is if you build it with really good SEO, search engine optimization, and you improve your SEO over time, they will come for free. But for the most part, you then have to build the website, and then you have to work at it to get people to the website. You either have to use paid advertising, or SEO or social media or come up like a viral video. You've got to get people, push, pull, and drag people to the website.
I love that you say that, because this has been one of my core fundamental things I've done differently, and that is everyone is so caught up in creating a brand or a website or a look or feel or this or that. And the two things I always say is, number one, you're way overthinking it, because some of the biggest brands out there don't even have anything that looks really cool and whatever. Some of these kids on their video camera have more traffic than you do, and you've created all this time and money in a brand. And second, your marketing plan will trump a business plan. That's why I hate these business plan competitions at colleges. I think they should have marketing plan competitions, because you could have a mediocre everything else and have amazing marketing, and the vice versa doesn't work. If you have an amazing brand and you can't get it out there, it means nothing for you. So I do think that if you're going to invest your time and energy in anything, it will be in marketing, and that's why you're right. If you build it, don't assume because you're really polished and everything looks good, they're going to show up, because I guarantee the best things I've ever put together, man, they don't work. And then sometimes the best strategy, what doesn't look as good and as quick, it works. So unless you have a distribution channel maybe already, then you're going to put your time and energy into content or branding. You're saying, don't assume it's going to. You got to have a plan to get the traffic there, right?
Absolutely. And, you're sort of hinting to something. I forget the exact expression, but like, perfection is the opposite of execution.
Yeah.
And there's a exact saying, but really what it's saying is like, get it up. Just get a MVP, minimum viable product. Get it in the market. Get the MVP website up there, and get into testing, and then evolve, improve, test, and iterate as you go.
Yeah, that was hard for me, because I'm kind of a perfectionist, a little bit ADD, as you know, and I like to have things go out. I like both. Like, my problem is I like it perfect and to go out fast. And I like things to roll out fast. But I'll tell you, imperfect progress is way more important. And what people don't realize as entrepreneurs, it's only about moving the yardstick. It doesn't matter how ugly it is. Look, it doesn't matter how horrible the play looked. If you got across the goal line, it doesn't really matter. But if you're not moving the ball, it doesn't matter how perfectly executed and what your uniform looks like and everything else. You got to freaking move. So that's a really good point. Okay, cool. So I know we're using up time, because we could go all day. But let's go ahead and let's roll to the next one.
Well, the next one is subscription models survive.
So this is golden rule number 5: subscription models survive. Okay.
And I've found this over and over and over throughout my career. But when I wrote this back at eDiets, we had 2 subscriptions that really were the heart of the success of that business. Subscription number 1 was an email subscription. And when people came to our website, we had a really fantastic UVP, unique value proposition. It was called Take Our Free Diet Assessment. What is a diet assessment? It wasn't even a real thing. We just made it up.
Yeah, okay.
But when you told us your height, your weight, your age, and any medical conditions, we gave you a chart. Here's the amount of time it would take to achieve your goal. This chart would go down to lose weight, and it would give you your BMI and a few other statistics that we could calculate from what you gave us. So that was a tremendous UVP, got people to interact with the site. But when they filled out that form, we got their email address. So that was the first subscription. Once we had their email address, back in the day, it was really critical. You had to get the email address so you could market to people who didn't sign up for the diet. And the people who did sign up for the diet, we didn't actually have any physical food or products or anything like that. You were just signing up for an online diet that we gave you your meal plan for the week, menus. There was online meetings with the experts. Cost between $12 and $18 depending what we were testing. And once people subscribe, they very rarely unsubscribe. It's like the gym model. So that's the heart of subscription models survive, right? We got their email address if they didn't sign up for the program. If they did sign up for the program, we got their credit card, and then we'd bill them, $12 or $18 a month. And most people would stay for like 7.1 months or 7.3 months. So we knew the average customer, like, let's say $15 times 7 months, was worth close to $100. So then we knew how much we could afford to acquire a customer. We knew how much they'd be worth over the lifetime value.
I love the differentiation of subscription, though, because I think a lot of people don't realize that just getting a view or a like or having somebody see you doesn't do you any good. But when they opt in like that, when they click into a subscription, whether it's your email list or whatever, the value is there, right?
You know what, though? There is value in a like, less than there used to be, but like what I mean by that is,
Well, I guess they're still making a decision, right? They're still to follow.
No, you kind of have permission to market to them, or you have the ability to market to them. When I say less than there used to be, like in the old days when someone liked your Facebook page, they would see everything you put on your Facebook page.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Now Facebook makes you pay to advertise to them.
Yeah.
But you can advertise to your audience. Facebook will make you pay, but you can create a custom audience of all your likes. It is a version of the modern subscription. And I wouldn't discount things like, Twitter followers, Facebook likes, YouTube subscribers. To a certain extent, a lot of people will not give you their email, but they will follow you on Instagram. So as a business or as an individual, you've got to think of all of those opportunities to get subscribers. And I'll give you a really easy strategy at the end where you can reach all of them cost effectively and inexpensively.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, cool. So moving along, the golden rule number 6.
Rule number 6 is remember the 4 Ps. And you're supposed to remember them if you took a marketing class in like high school or university. But it's product, place, price, and promotion. I should have tested you.
I was in my mind, I was like, dude, if you ask me this question, I better know product, place, price, and promotion. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. But, so product. So, I always say, think of the internet like I said off the top, like you're a product manager. And if you go to like Google's page, like on Google Corporate, they call all of their different things products. So search is a product. YouTube is a product. Google Pay is a product. Google AdWords is a product. And they have product managers for each of them. So think of your website and your internet marketing like you're a marketing organization, a big company, and you're a product manager. So someone's in charge of the look and feel of the homepage. Someone's in charge of the shopping cart, of the sales funnel. Someone's in charge of subscriptions and what percentage of people are subscribing to your newsletter, and someone's in charge of the email newsletter, like you're a product manager. So P is product, and you would apply the traditional sense of product marketing, product manager in a packaged goods marketing. Place. So place is about, more than anything today, it's about coming up in search, right? Because
being recognized, getting got it.
Well, or just being found, right? Like
being found, yeah.
We used to say location for retail, right? And it's still important for retail. But on the internet, I would argue that like a Google search for your product or service, if you can come up on that first page of Google, that's the most important place and most important thing to be found, location in the world today. So SEO and pay-per-click that's cost effective is very valuable in terms of place, product place. And then promotion, the third P, internet is all about promotion, and it's very effective. Obviously, you want to have a marketing calendar in place for your marketing program and take advantage of things like Black Friday and Cyber Monday. A lot of times just having a flash sale, just coming up with something creative promotionally will boost your sales. And George and I have done tons of event marketing together. And like if our event's coming up in 3 weeks and there's no Thanksgiving or Labor Day, we'll just invent, flash sale. And over the weekend we'll have a flash sale, a 2-for-1 offer, something like that. And just having news, just having a promotion will really spur your marketing. Very, very powerful piece of the overall success. And then product, place, price, promotion. What did I miss?
That's it. Yeah.
Product,
place, price, and promotion.
Price. Yeah, price I didn't really talk about, but price, a couple things that really differentiate the internet from the real world. One is typically the internet's a little less expensive. 2 is free shipping. It's sort of become a standard. And then the third one is like a lot of times the real world is being disintermediated by the internet. Mm-hmm. So there's an app now where you can go in with your phone and you can take a picture of a product and you can find out if it's on Amazon and how much it costs. And so you can literally buy the product right there on your phone, or you can scan the barcode and find out if it's cheaper. And if you're a Prime member, the shipping's free and you don't have to haul it home. So price is very important on the internet.
Yeah, I think these are great to cover because although people like the quick, sexy social media, how do we make money fast kind of thing, I think the true marketers are the ones that are making the biggest impact, the biggest amount of success. And, it takes coming back to fundamentals when you're creating your strategy, like product, place, price, and promotion. And so if you always think of those things when you're getting ready to move a product or have your, unique value proposition, you can think about it from these little silos real quick. You don't have to have the people to do it. You just think, okay, what's my product? What's my placement? Where's my promotion and my pricing? And it is much easier nowadays to get all the tactics and things to do that. So that's great. That's great tip. Okay, so golden rule number 7.
Golden rule number 7 is trust is golden. And,
okay.
In the early days, it was just things like having a trust signature, a security token on your website, making sure that your e-commerce transactions were verified. And then it's expanded. I mean, obviously, Google now almost requires that your site is HTTPS secure. And if you don't have a secure site, Google, it actually says in the Chrome browser, like, this site is not secure. Do you trust it? So you've got to have your site as secure, particularly for collecting emails or God forbid, collecting e-commerce, like trying to get a credit card. And then there's a whole other layer to what we call social trust. And like, say, for example, someone said, hey, you got to check out this Daily Mastermind podcast. It's really cool. And I'm a Facebook, I'm on Facebook, and I go look at George's Facebook page. And, if he has thousands of likes, and Facebook will probably call out and say, hey, tens of thousands of people like this Daily Mastermind, and including these 7 people that you know. And if people like something, it's very powerful, right? So it's like social trust or endorsement from that social trust. And you can actually take that widget, and you can put that widget like on your website and on other social properties on your landing page. So if you actually have a lot of likes, and there's a good high likelihood that people will see people they know, it's immediate trust factor.
No, I love that, because I absolutely think it's gone from this trust badge of being compliant and having, the BBB logos or whatever it is, to now social proof does equal trust in you. Social proof equals trust in you. And I always tell people there's 2 types of credibility you can add. You can add the testimonial type credibility, or you can add third-party testimonial. And you get these third parties kind of endorsing you or talking about your product. And I always try to get people to get social proof around the product, around the experience, or around their results. And so if they do those things, I think you're right. It's not difficult nowadays to create that trust, which is kind of ironic, because as soon as you get some people talking good about you, you've got this social proof, which builds trust, which I think you're right. That is key to lifetime value of the customer and results on the internet. I mean, otherwise people don't really know, because everybody can be anybody nowadays. So that social proof and trust level, but I do think there's both components, right? There's the technology type trust, and then there's the social trust. So I love that. That's really, really good.
I should have teased people right off the top, because everyone's always asking me, what's the next social media? What's the new breakout, Facebook? And we're going to share that right at the end. So I should.
I can't wait.
But at least now people are going to have to stay till the end. But
yeah, from the guy who knows digital marketing, he's going to share the next move. So don't go anywhere. Okay.
It does have a trust component. So we'll get into that.
Okay, cool. Okay, so number 8, golden rule number 8.
Number 8 is use the right tactic.
Okay.
And really what I'm trying to say to people is different internet marketing media or strategies have different results. And you really have to understand what you're trying to achieve. People often come to me and they're like, we want to do affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is the best, because the way affiliate marketing works is if you sign up a bunch of affiliates and they send traffic to your site and somebody buys something, you only pay them if you get a sale. Or, like George and I used affiliates for a lot of events. And we loved that, because we didn't have to pay Google. We didn't have to pay Facebook. All we did is if the affiliate got someone to sign up, we would pay them a fixed cost. So affiliate marketing was great. No cost for the advertiser, and all the risk and cost is taken by the affiliates. But people would come to me and they'd say, well, we just want to do affiliate marketing. And I would say, okay, but what's your cost per acquisition? How much can you afford to pay the affiliates? And they had no idea. And I would say, do you have a great landing page? Do you have a great creative that the affiliates can use? Do you have a great follow-on series and email set up after the person comes to your page? And they didn't have any of those things in place. So you can't do affiliate marketing until you understand how much it costs you to acquire a customer. So the first thing you have to do is some paid advertising and marketing to come to a website. I had a great call with a client today who invented a brand new product in a brand new category. When you invent something, that's fantastic, but nobody's searching for it because they don't know it exists.
Yeah.
But we're going to do Facebook ads and Facebook videos explaining, hey, we've solved this problem that you have, but you didn't know there was a solution for it, so you're not searching for it. So that being said, paid advertising on Google and Facebook is a great way to fill the top of the funnel. And then social media and SEO, they take time. They take like 6 months to really build a social following, to build your SEO. You can't just do SEO overnight. The free Google SEO results, it takes 6 to 12 months to really start getting some traction. So you've got to do the paid advertising if you want to get started right away, and then build the SEO over time.
Yeah, no, tactics is huge. In fact, I think tactics is where most people get tricked up. It's one of the reasons why, despite any amount of knowledge, I will generally go to someone like you, right? Because there's perspective and there's strategy, but tactics is key, because I've seen so many people say, hey, I'm going to go just get affiliates and influencers because the advantage is I only have to pay them a percentage and I don't have to have this big budget. But like you said, they don't know the info. But the downside to that is you're not building a model that you control and can scale. Meaning, okay, great, you go blow up and you got all this stuff, and then you're like, all right, how do I keep creating sales? Well, I hope they keep referring. I hope they can do. That's not a model. A model is I place an ad on Facebook, I get a return, I know my cost per response, cost per acquisition, and I can do, if I could do it at 100, I could do it at $1,000, right? So tactics is huge, but I do believe that tactics depend on the situation. Are you a startup? Do you have any clients? Do you not have any clients? Do you have influencers? So tactics is important, but the reason I love that rule is being aware that that's important will help you to do a little bit more due diligence. And if you need to, get help from different, sources like media agencies and things, then you can do that. But if you just go out there and think you can kind of spray it all over the place and people are going to get it, you may be successful, but it's not scalable. It's not long-term. So tactics is where people get caught up, right? I know I do all the time. I'm thinking, I could just do this without any budget, but then I realize I can't scale it unless I have a model. So,
or you sign up a bunch of affiliates and it's going great and you build your whole business around affiliates, and then a competitor comes in and pays them double.
Yeah, right.
Pay them double and they'll go to your competitor.
Yeah, or like most affiliates, the bottom line is there may be another product that just they like better, or it's the new latest, greatest thing, and all of a sudden they do that. So that's a huge one. We may have to do a whole episode just on that one, but strategy and tactics. Okay, but let's go to golden rule number 9.
The best never rest. And there's a subset to this rule. The best never rest, test, test, test. And what I mean by that is so many people, they're kind of complacent. Like they put up a Google campaign, and they do a little bit of work on it for a month or two, and then they never do any real development or testing. And one of the really good strategies is to have a testing calendar. And we do that with most of our clients. So we'll have either a weekly testing calendar or a monthly testing calendar, meaning we'll put a really concerted effort on landing page testing. And we might do that for the first couple months. And I talked earlier about A/B testing. So you come to the website, half the people see the blue page, half the people see the red page. Half the people see the, buy one, get one free offer. Half the people see the, 50% off if you buy it by, the end of the week kind of offer. And so you're testing, it's the same price, but it's like you're testing the different communication, the color, the message, the video you talked about earlier. So the best never rest means that you can't just, do landing pages once. You've got to come back to it. Like you do your landing page test, and maybe next month you focus on testing your email follow-on series, and next month you focus on testing your creative on your offers and your banners, and then the first start of the second quarter you're back to landing page testing. So having a calendar that calendarizes your testing keeps everybody focused on testing and precise measurement.
I love that, and I the reason I really love how you put it is you didn't put never rest, test, test, test. You put the best never rest, test, test. So what I love about that is I always say, mediocrity or having some degree of success is the enemy of greatness, because you're like, wow, man, this is great. This is like printing money, and I can kick back, I can take some time off, and then just when you don't realize it, everything stops working. So the key is even when you have success to continue to test. And I love how you put that, because what you're basically saying is just start with rules. Just start with principles you're going to use. And if your business operates on testing, you're going to keep testing. You're not going to test until it works and then stop testing. And that is really the key, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast or people I come across have had success. But the ones that really accomplish greatness are the ones that never stop trying to progress and find the better version of themselves, the better new level in their business and everything else. And so if you have that mindset, that's really what creates the most success, for sure.
I'm sure every, multimillionaire, every billionaire you've worked with is the most driving SOB you've ever met.
Yeah.
Like the guys who we've worked with who are really, really successful, like we could break every single sales record by like 5 times. And the next day they're pissed off. They're like, what are you doing to beat it? Like, that's not good enough. Like,
Yeah, your problem is you do it and make it look so easy that they're like, wait a minute, man, if you could have done it that easy, you could have totally done 50 times. So let's start back over again. But that's your own challenge you create. But you're right. I get your point. Like, everybody's going to push.
1,000 people at an event. And this particular entrepreneur I'm thinking of, it was the record for like the most digital people ever at an event in our industry. Because like George said, we used to do direct mail, and it was the most people that came from Google and Facebook. And he was completely unsatisfied. He had room. He could have had 18,000.
Oh, I know. It's so
he broke
funny.
every record, but that was, the true, entrepreneur does never rest. It has an incredible drive for lots of testing and innovation.
Yeah, that's a characteristic trait to adopt. I mean, the bottom line is, just when you think I'd love to make $1 million a year and you make it, then you realize you can make 2, you can make 3, or whatever the result is, or whatever the impact is, you can do more. So, all right, cool. This leads us to golden rule number 10.
So golden rule number 10 is lead the trends. And George and I were talking about this earlier in the week. When Facebook was first coming to prominence and they were developing their IPO and they were going to market, General Motors came out and said, Facebook advertising doesn't work. We're pulling all our Facebook advertising. And it actually hurt the Facebook IPO. Like their projected cost per share when they came out actually was much lower, and the cost per share went down. But we were doing Facebook advertising. We were killing it. And what people were missing was that Facebook advertising didn't have built-in conversion tracking at that time. So you had to do it manually. So what we did is we used the landing pages like I talked about. And we did A/B testing. And we found out on the landing page, like if the red page worked better than the blue page. So we could put half the Facebook ads to the red page and half the Facebook ads to the blue page. Now conversion measurement is built into Facebook, but it wasn't at that time. So if you didn't have the measurement, you had no idea what was working. If you had no idea what was working, you couldn't do the testing. So General Motors, their ad agency let them down because they weren't doing the measurement and the tracking. But the moral of the story here is that if you don't get into something new like that when it's hot and figure it out and test and spend the money and apply the disciplines of the 10 golden rules that we talked about, with the measurement and the testing and the tracking and the variables and the P's and everything else, what happens is you're going to miss the boat. And so what happened is for about 2-3 years, so many people didn't apply all these best principles of marketing. And they came to Facebook and they said it didn't work. And we were loving it.
You're killing it.
We were killing it. And we, like in the event industry, we were the first people, and we were fortunate to work with George. We were the first people to really use Facebook and Instagram advertising to sell these big Tony Robbins and multi-speaker events. And we were doing phenomenally well. And nobody else in the industry had figured it out because they said, well, we tried Facebook, it doesn't work. And we're like, shh, don't tell anyone, but we're killing it with Facebook. So that's the genesis of Lead the Trends. When you figure out something that you hear, and I always use the rule of 3s. Like when I hear it the first time, I might look at it or whatever, sign up for a free account. But when I start hearing a couple of people I respect, like if George Wright mentions it on a podcast or you read, the Moz blog or something, then I go all in. Because if I hear about something 3 times, I'm all in, and I'm going to run a really legitimate, quantifiable test. So there's so many examples through the years of leading edge things that we jumped into, and we were able to take advantage. One of them right now that's working really, really well, and I teased everybody. I said, I would share with you the next new big thing in social media. And we've been killing it with this for our clients for about a year now. And a lot of people don't think it's a social media, and they haven't realized how valuable and important it is. So what are some of the characteristics of social media, George? Like, well, number one is people can comment on your page, and they can
comment or share, or
they can make posts. They can put pictures on your social media, and you can put posts and updates and add pictures and videos to your site, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other things is you can create a page and people can find it, right? You can have like a homepage. And so a lot of people haven't realized that the next new important breakout social media is actually Google Maps.
Really? Google Maps?
Google My Business. And it's not as important for your business like a worldwide podcast.
Right.
But if you're a lawyer, doctor, plumber, jewelry store, like
any kind of brick and mortar kind of location.
Mm-hmm. And even if you're like an internet marketing company, Google Maps is now, like, Google failed with Google Plus, their social media. And they failed before with social media. They haven't been able to really get one. But they're now testing a follow button on the Google Maps. And you can do updates, which are called posts. So it's like a blog post that you add to your website. There's reviews, which is probably the most single important factor in the ranking algorithm. So like if somebody searches for like personal injury lawyer near me, what do you see at the top of the page? You see the Google ads, right? The pay-per-click ads. Those cost money to be there. They're extremely expensive. The next thing you see is the maps.
Yeah, right? Yeah, totally, right there.
That little graphic of a map of your town,
right.
And 3 people get in the 3-pack. Those three things are the first 3 SEO results you see on a page now. Down below are the other free SEO or organic listings. So when I say that, think of it like a social media. Do posts, do updates, encourage people like crazy. You got to focus on getting lots of reviews because reviews are part of that algorithm. Put the posts, add videos, add pictures, and you can really goose the SEO, the search engine optimization of your Google Maps. So it functions like a social media, but in reality, it's the #1 free search result.
Is that tied to your business name or your website or what? Because what you're saying is just this whole section. I love this because I've been learning more and more recently that, look, people don't think about the fact that YouTube is owned by Google. They don't think about SEO or keywords in YouTube, but this is the same thing with maps being key to search and Google being the #1 search. You want to be more listed, more deal. And you're saying be more active, but what is that tied to? Active to your social media with your business name, or active on your website, or how do you get that activity?
Well, you've got to be active on your maps.
Got it.
So,
okay, got it.
And again, this is not for the Daily Mastermind.
Right. No, I got you.
For,
but I'm saying, would a business go in, pull up their map, and then go that way?
Yeah, what you do is, if you haven't registered your business name and address, and to your question earlier, it's not really a social media. You have to have a physical location because Google Maps is still physically directing you to a location, right? Like if somebody puts in Tangible Rules, internet marketing agency, and they're coming to meet with Jay, they physically want maps to direct them here. So first,
and the best way to do that, you register your business, though, right? You register your business, you're on it.
So if you haven't done that, just search your business name, and chances are Google's already grabbed it, created a Google Maps location for you from like a Yellow Pages listing or the Chamber of Commerce or something like that. Then you say, I own this business, and you go and you log in. You need a Google account to do that. And then Google's going to send you a postcard where you can physically register your maps. And then you can get in there in what's called GMB or Google My Business and do all the updates. You can do the posts. You can put your category of business. You can answer people's questions. You can thank people for reviews. You can address people's concerns if they give you a negative review. So it's become a very interactive social media for business. And I would argue it's probably even more important than LinkedIn if you have a business. It's the most important social media hub now for business.
Well, so just to give a question and maybe drive this home a little bit more, because that's amazing. That's the first I've ever heard of that, but it makes absolute sense because it's owned by Google, right? But you and I know a mutual company that I do some consulting for that do financial education, but they do have a physical location, right? So if they were to register their business, and because I know there's a lot of people that search them, that would not only increase search, but then when they register their business, if they were to maintain a little bit of feedback, a little bit of comment, a little bit of ratings and things like that on their Google map. Then if someone were to Google a keyword term and their business just happens to be the keyword term, that's just going to increase it for them, correct?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, it's really going to be geographically located.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So like I have a very good chance for
Yeah.
coming up for internet marketing agency in Boca Raton or in South Florida where we're located if my Google Maps comes up, right?
Yeah, it's interesting though, because I've Googled many, many times and maps come up. Like I'm not even looking for a map, but I Google a business or a name and their map comes up.
And consumers trust it like crazy. So it's become a huge traffic generator. But I wanted to build on your point because you're asking the right question. And we've seen a very clear linkage between Google Maps results and SEO results.
Got it.
So like, and
so one influences
we
the
deal
other.
with a ton of law firms, lawyers, as you know. And very, very important, obviously, if someone is in a car accident, they need a lawyer in their state who's certified by the bar in their state. But generally they want someone near them who they can go see and meet with them. So for lawyers, if their SEO is improving, they're getting more traffic from their maps, meaning they're showing up more in that 3-pack. And I talked earlier about measurement and testing. So we know precisely how many people came from SEO, how many people came from paid ads, and how many people came from maps. And I want to bring this home because we talked about lead the trends.
Yeah.
And golden rule number 10. Why did I bring up maps? And why did I call it a social media? Because this is a lead the trends opportunity right now today. Meaning that a year ago, we started registering Google Maps for all these lawyers and doctors. We started adding posts, adding pictures, adding videos, working like crazy to get reviews. Like some of our top attorney has like 900 reviews now. And if you see a Maps result, first of all, you're probably going to see the guy with 900 reviews is in the first position.
Yeah, right.
The guy with 500 reviews is in the second position. The guy with 300 reviews is in the third position. And who are you going to click on? The guy who's got 900 reviews and a 4.7, or the guy with 300 reviews?
Yeah, that's true. And social proof. Yeah.
Yeah, and that you're right. I teased that earlier. That is the social proof of today. Like the most important thing, your Google reviews, your Facebook reviews, your Yelp reviews. That is the social proof. Depending on your industry, right? Like if you're a restaurant, you need Yelp. If you're a law firm, you need those Google.
Yeah, that's huge. I love that, and that's gonna apply to people that might not necessarily have a physical retail location, but you might be a coach or a mentor or a consultant or people that do still have local traffic and local business, digital marketing, things like that. So I love that. That's brand new. I've never heard of that, but I know that if you're saying it, you've been doing it for a while. And actually, as I think back in hindsight of some of our conversations, I can see because I know you have a lot of success with those professionals and things like that as well. So that's amazing. Leading with the trends is huge. And also, what would you say about individuals? I'm going to ask this last question because I know we're short on time, but what would you say about people that say, I never jumped on the trend of Facebook. I didn't jump on early enough with some of these other things? Because I know some people feel like, wow, the marketplace is so crowded right now. I missed the window. I missed the opportunity. What do you say to people like that?
Well, I'm going to give you my sort of easy solution to do it all. And we'll go right back to one of the first things we said off the top. When I created the 10 Golden Rules, I created content. And I did a presentation, and it became a book, and it became a website and a podcast. And I branded myself with the 10 Golden Rules of Internet Marketing. But the important thing is I continued to create content. And I continue to create content. Like we do a webinar every month. And I always say it's not about the webinar. What do I mean by that? Because the 1 hour of the webinar or the 1 hour of your podcast, it's more about the fact that you've created a brand and that every day you're putting out your podcast. And every month we put out a webinar, and it gives me permission to market. So every month I email everybody on my email list, hey, we're doing a webinar. We're going to teach you, as a matter of fact, I did a webinar all about Google Maps. And you can find a link on my blog because we emailed it out to everybody. We said, hey, come on to the webinar. Then we said, oh, we've got a free checklist. The 17 things you need to know about Google Maps. If you register for the webinar, we'll give you the free checklist. I sent a second email to my entire list. And then I also posted it on all of my company social media and all my personal social media. And then I sent a third email. I said, hey, don't forget the webinar is on Tuesday. Don't miss it, right? So it gave me permission to send something of value to my list. And then I sent a fourth email. I said, oh, if you didn't make it to the webinar, we put it up on the blog. You can click here on YouTube and you can watch the webinar. And so the message here, George, and your question about Facebook, if you missed the cycle on Facebook, people always say to me, like, I don't have time to do Facebook and Instagram and webinars and Google Maps and everything. The answer is that all you need to do as a marketer, as a business, is create one piece of content a week. One piece of content a week. And you're done. You can hire an intern or journalism student to do all the other stuff. And it's what I call cascading content. Like a river hits a waterfall and creates streams and tributaries and little pools. It's called cascading down. If you just create, like in your case, one podcast a day, you can hire an intern to post on your Facebook and post on your Instagram and send out an email. Like, hey, there's a new daily mastermind. We're talking to Jay Berkowitz, or we're talking to this expert or this expert. And everything else you do comes off that one piece of content. So the simplest thing for a business is I say, once a week, answer a question. Why do you answer a question? Because that's the way people search today. We ask a question. Who's the best personal injury lawyer in Miami? And they literally say that to Siri. They ask a question. So if you answer that question in the form of a video or an article, you can then cascade it through all your other social media. So you ask the question like, what if I missed the boat on Facebook? You didn't. All you need to do is one thing, create that one piece of content a week, or in your case, one a day. That's even better. And then you can have the twin turn, the Twitter intern, we call it.
Yeah.
Cascade it to all the other social media. So now if somebody follows you on Facebook, every day they're going to see who you interviewed on Facebook, and they can click and come listen to the podcast.
I love how strategic that is.
Yeah, they're never going to sign up for email, but they might follow you on Insta. So it gives you that opportunity to reach everybody cost effectively, inexpensively, and cover everything off. But all you have to do is create that one little piece of content.
It's funny because I used to think, when I first started, I thought, I'm going to do a daily podcast. I thought, oh my gosh, man, I'll never find the time for that. And where would I find all the topics? But you said it there. You said, ask the question people are asking. And here's the bottom line. If you do that and you get to know your customer, you're never going to run out of questions, which means you're never going to run out of content. And I love, in fact, I'm going to put like a pin in this because I want you and I are going to get back on another podcast episode. We'll do it in the next few weeks or so here because I want to dig deep into personal branding and content because you said something and I don't think people get it. So I want everyone listening to this, I want you to really think about this and write this down. Jay is a lot like myself. He's very strategic in what he does. And sometimes you'll notice with 7, 8, 9-figure people, it's how they think about things, right? And you got to take a second and listen because he's very strategic with what he does. Creating content not only creates the cascade effect, it answers questions for your key customer, it gets them to engage, but it's a critically tied thing to being an effective marketer. So when you do it, not mutually exclusive, when you say, I'm creating this content and I'm killing 3 birds with one stone because I'm creating content that I can use many, many different ways. I can answer questions for my customer, but then I just provided myself with amazing stuff to use for marketing. Then you're not over here trying to market, over here trying to create content and everything else. It's all back to tactics and strategy. People don't realize, for example, with my podcast, first of all, I started doing this. I don't monetize. I don't do anything else. I started doing this for myself. I love daily inspiration, motivation, and education for myself, my kids, my partners, my people I work with. And then it also happened to give me great content. And as I interview people, it gives me really good content and it answers questions and it gives me value. And then on top of that, it creates perfect things for social media engagement, perfect things for marketing campaigns, perfect things to create courses, all because I decided to just do some content every day. So when you do that, you realize the filter is no longer one more thing to do on your list. It's like, how do I do one more thing that accomplishes 9 of my things and it actually lowers my list? So now I can be super excited about it. Jay and I can visit on a podcast. I can learn a whole bunch of new stuff I didn't know. Without having to pay him, thousands of dollars or something like I normally do. But seriously, but it's very strategic. So I love how you think. And I just want to point that out because I don't think a lot of people understand everything you're talking about with the 10 golden rules is not just great content and value. It's got strategic intent, how you run a business, how you create strategy, how you execute. it's much more than just good content to listen to. So I would highly recommend people go back and listen to this over and over. I think we're going to be able to dig back into some more key topics. But before we go, because I know we're out of time, but Jay, is there one or two things, or even maybe one strategy that you feel that someone should really prioritize if they want to start creating an increase in their digital marketing? Is there maybe like a top of the funnel type thing you feel like, and maybe it's content like you just said, but that you feel like people should focus on?
I think that kind of sums it up, but maybe I'll tell it with a story. Because I like your podcast has been so powerful for you. My podcast was very powerful for me in that I interviewed some of the most famous people in the history of internet marketing. I interviewed Craig Newmark, the founder of Craigslist. I interviewed Tim Westergren, the founder of Pandora, and Matt Cutts at Google, and Steve Krug, who wrote the book Don't Make Me Think, which is the best web design book. But I also interviewed this young guy who worked in his father's wine store. And he told me that he knew he needed to blog. He knew he needed to create content, but he just couldn't write. Like he could write, but he could never get himself like to the keyboard to write. And I was a lot like that, and maybe you were like that. And then he just figured out when YouTube came out, he knew he could do that. He knew he could hop on videos and create these videos. And so he made a commitment, like you did, to every day he's cranking out a video about wine. And when the local wine sommelier he met, he would get him in on the show. And when a celebrity launched a wine, he'd get him on the show. And everybody's probably figured out by now that I'm talking about Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V. And if you don't know who Gary V is, you've got to know in our business.
You're probably not online if you don't know who he is, but right, yeah.
And Gary's now become, he was an early investor in Uber and several other unicorns, and he's built this huge personal brand, and we've booked him to speak at events, and he's now, getting into that realm of one of the top speakers like a Tony Robbins and the Shark Tank guys. But the interesting, why I'm tying this story back, is because the heart of what made Gary Vee famous, and the heart of what took his dad's little wine store and turned into a $30 million business, is that Gary created content every day. But as he told the story in my podcast, that was just the start of it. That was 15 minutes where, he'd get the local wine salesman in and they'd taste the new white or whatever. He said, I literally spent the rest of the day answering the question, what's a good white that goes with fish? Thousands and thousands of times on Twitter, on Facebook, as Instagram came up, questions on the YouTube channel. And like we've talked about over and over in these examples, that YouTube video was just the core of the content. But then he would cascade that into everything else he does. And today, Gary's actually living a life of content. Whereas he's going for meetings and flying on private jets and speaking on stages, he's got a team of guys following him around and filming him and turning it into daily podcasts, daily videos, daily blogs, daily Instagrams, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But again, it all comes, to answer your question, what's one thing people should do is create one piece of content. And it doesn't have to be a podcast. It doesn't have to be video. It doesn't have to be a blog. And whatever it is, whatever you're comfortable with, that's what it should be.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. I think it's that age-old principle of do one thing. Do one thing. Find something that you're comfortable at. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something you're already doing in your daily routine. Lower the bar as far as you can to just get moving, because it's funny, once you do that one step, how easy it is to take the second, third, and fourth step, and then results start to happen. Your belief goes up. You can take more steps. So I really love that strategy, Jay. Listen, man, these were freaking value bombs, and we had a longer episode than we almost have ever produced, but I'm telling you, I didn't want to stop because we had just such amazing content. So thank you. And I think we're going to have some amazing follow-up and results from this. So once again, Jay Berkowitz. Jay, where's the best place? Where can we send people to kind of connect with you? Where's the best place for them to find you online?
I'm Jay Berkowitz and 10 Golden Rules almost everywhere. So I'm at Jay Berkowitz on Twitter. 10 Golden Rules is TEN, 10 Golden Rules. You can find a download of our ebook, the 10 Golden Rules, on the website.
Awesome. I'll put that on the show notes as well. I'll do that, and then I'm going to follow up with you and try to get a link to the Google Maps webinar. I think that would be amazing for people, and I'll put some stuff in our show notes. So for those of you that are tuning in, go back to the notes, come back. This is one you're going to want to play over and over again. So listen, Jay, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, man. It's just a privilege to actually get in your calendar. So you know how much I do value and appreciate you, and would definitely highly recommend people to find you online, learn more about you, work with your organization, whatever you can do. I still, work with you on just about everything. You're kind of my go-to. So anyway, thank you so much. And for those of you listening, tune into the Daily Mastermind podcast. Follow us on Instagram and share it with a friend, man. We appreciate you being here. Have an amazing day.